Okay, so everyone, thanks for coming in, and I really appreciate every time joining in. Some of the people said they can't join in because either they have calls or there are other reasons, but I'm always happy that you guys are all joining in.
I have a friend with
Okay,
me also, Amit, today, Joseph. Sorry to interrupt. I have Amit here with me. He's a cloud operations engineer with Passware.
yeah, he did tell me that
Oh,
that
lovely.
you.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Okay, uh, unlike the last time, I have enabled the chat for everybody, so you should be able to chat publicly. I mean, you should be able to put things publicly. First, let's ask this: what do you understand from the intentional imbalance? What we are talking about? Anyone? Put it on the chat. What do you understand from intentional imbalance? What do you understand from it? Or even, I mean, what do you expect out of today's session? Gagan did say that it is a little intriguing. It is that's why he's here. So I want to understand what you understand by intentional imbalance. Anyone? Anyone want to the general? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Confusion in what we do. Okay. The storyteller among us, KK is Krishna is saying the general belief is to have balanced life and balanced diet. You are touching upon KK in what I'm going to talk about.
Joseph,
Good.
it also means current state of affairs. Like everything is intentional, but it is also imbalanced.
Yeah, you could mean that, but KK is much more closer. We all think that, yeah, like I mean, we all mean that we need a balance in our life. That's what we are going to see. So wait for a couple of minutes. Now, so I hope all of you can see my screen. Okay. So now when we are talking about intentional imbalance, what we have to aspire in life is effectiveness and not beauty. That's the whole point. That's the crux of the point that I'm trying to tell here. And see, we take a lot of, if all of you can mute yourself, that would be helpful. We take a lot of inspiration from nature, and we have to. Nature is very beautiful, and nature is very beautiful because of a particular reason. Nature is beautiful because it is symmetrical. The best symmetrical thing that we can see is I don't know how I can put everybody into.
I think Joseph, you can mute all that part.
Yeah, I'm muting everybody. Okay, and you can. Yeah, I have muted everybody. Sorry for the confusion. So nature is beautiful because it is symmetrical. The human body is the best that we can talk about as a symmetrical one. For thousands of years, we are attracted to each other because of the beauty in our bodies and also in the souls, but primarily because of the bodies. And it is symmetrical. Not only our body, you take quite a lot of things in the nature, the flowers, and I can go on talking about these things. They are all very balanced. The right and the left, whatever that you are talking about in dimension that you are talking about, they are all very, very symmetrical and well balanced. There is no imbalance in that. And it is good to mimic the nature. And that's why even when we are creating some kind of a mountain trails or walking paths, even then we try to mimic the nature. We do that. And it is beautiful. We want to walk in these kinds of paths. It's very nice, and so on and so forth. And we do that with our architecture also, right? Taj Mahal, perfectly balanced, perfectly symmetrical building. And if you see a little bit of olden architectures, and they will all mimic nature in that particular sense of being symmetrical. And if you see a lot of religious places, especially the Christian churches, if you see, very symmetrical, well balanced. And then you can see this, the number of chairs on each side, the number of candles, number of statues, all of these things are very well balanced, very well symmetrical. That's how we want it to be because we are mimicking the nature. Now, tell me something, I mean, you can put it on the chat. What are the ways we try to balance our life? What do you think, like, I mean, what are the ways that we balance our life? You can put in, what are the ways that we balance our life? Anyone? Okay, planning. Okay, that's good. Yeah, proper planning. Worship. Okay. Yeah, Sumit, balanced diet. We will talk about it. Good diet. Yes, Gagan. We always want a good diet, balanced diet. Okay. KK already talked about our life as such, whether we can keep it balanced. So we normally try to balance everything in our life. We try, at least. We strive to do that. In some ways it is good, but are we able to manage it, maintain it? I have mentioned about Alan Weiss in an earlier episode about mimicking the masters. And I mentioned this particular quote in a couple of other episodes also. What Alan Weiss says, and what I have found it to be very, very useful is, let's move forward 3 things a mile rather than 100 things an inch. And when we are trying to do a balanced life, balanced things, mostly this is what we are trying to do. We want everything to be balanced. We want to spend the same amount of time with our kids, as well as with our spouse, as well as with our friends, as well as in the office. And we can't do that, right? So my point is, let's go for an intentional imbalance in our life. Intentional. Then we don't have to feel guilty. We don't have to say, oh, I'm not able to do it. We don't have to become stressful, which is all that we are doing. We become a lot more stressful and guilty when these things goes out of balance. And then it shows up in many different ways. But rather, if we could say, okay, I'm going to have an intentional imbalance in life. I am going to do that. I am going to provoke. I am going to induce imbalance in my life, and I'm going to be okay with it. And if you see, if you talk to quite a lot of people, and there are a lot of psychology studies to prove this, what is one reason for people to be happy? If you see that, there are quite a lot of reasons you can put in, like, say, for example, money and so on and so forth. But when you drill down, what they say is, when person feels they have a control in their life, then they are happy. Then they are very satisfied in their life. And we are aspiring to have a balance. We are aspiring to have some kind of a symmetry in our life, so that we can spend time equally with everybody. We can have a balanced diet. We can spend time equally with the office and life, and so on and so forth. And we are not able to do it. And then we become stressful and unhappy. And that exhibits itself in multiple different ways, either as diseases or as fights within the families and friends, misunderstandings, and so on and so forth. So my point is, can we go for intentional imbalance? And I'm going to give you a couple of examples for that. This is the impossible imbalance we are all trying all the time. I'm sure all of you have heard of this work-life balance, and all of you are aspiring to work-life balance. Especially now, most of the mothers, they're all trying to aspire for this work-life balance. My point is, you cannot achieve it. And if you cannot achieve it, go for an intentional imbalance. Say, this is what it is going to be. Then you know, you are sure, you are clear, you can communicate that to everybody else and say, okay, it is going to be intentional. It is going to be imbalanced. That's okay. I am okay with this. Jack Welch said this. He said there is nothing called work-life balance, because you cannot have work-life balance. There are only choices and consequences. So what I am encouraging is, make those choices and face those consequences. These choices, I'm going to give you a couple of examples, but these choices will depend on your life. You need to choose what's the kind of a choice What's the kind of a lifestyle that you want to have? What's the kind of a career that you want to have? What's the kind of a food that you want to eat? And so on and so forth. Sometimes people might go in for a, 6-pack and 8-pack and whatnot, but that may not be possible for so many of others. So what I'm saying is it is going to be intentional. It is going to be an imbalance, and that's a choice that I'm making, and I'm okay with the consequence that I'm going to get. I cannot go for gym every day. So which means my body is going to be out of shape. I am okay with it. That's a choice I'm making. I'm okay with that particular consequence. I'm not saying sit idle and be fat and obese. I'm not saying that. I am saying I am okay with the choice that I'm making. Maybe I'm only working out from home. Maybe I'm just going for a walk. Maybe I can only go for jogging. That's okay. That's a choice that I'm making, and whatever consequences that are going to come, I'm going to be okay with it. That is what I'm propagating here when I say be okay with intentional imbalance. You are inducing that imbalance into your life, and you are saying, okay, it is intentional because I am in control. I'm going to say it is intentional, and I'm going to be okay with it. I'm going to be happy with it because this is a choice that I am making. It is not being made by the society. It is not made by my friends. It is not made by my family. I'm going to make this choice. I'm going to choose this particular choice, and I'm going to be okay with it. There's a little bit of a catch here, and I said this earlier. This is all time bound. We might say, hey, you know what? For next 6 months, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be okay with it, and I'm going to see what I can do after that, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples from my life so that we can discuss, debate. Hopefully these things are useful, and then you can, ask questions, and then we can go from here. Now, I have 2 sons, and when they were born, and until I made a decision that until they are 12 years old, I'm going to spend time with them. I'm going to spend time with them, taking care of them, teaching them the intellectual things, teaching them physical things, cycling and everything. So as you can see in the top, I chose to focus on the family and not on my career. So for the last 6 years or so, I only work 3 days a week. I took a break. I only work 3 days a week. So which means I took a pay cut. So my career wasn't growing. So all the time I was focusing on family with my boys, not on my career. So I taught them everything. So this is the YouTube channel that they have. They use for skits. They put skits. They go for stop motion of Legos, and so on and so forth. Now they are into gaming, Roblox, and so on and so forth. So all the while, my focus is on them and not on the career. So that was an intentional imbalance that I introduced into my life. Everybody said, Joseph, you are at the peak. This is the time to earn. You can't cut short your earning. But that's the intentional choice that I made. And I'm okay with whatever consequence that is going to come because of that. I hope my sons appreciate it. I don't know whether they will appreciate when they grow up. They might come up and say, who needed your time? We all needed the money. Hopefully, the way it looks like, probably my second son would say that. But that's a choice that I have made. I have put it out of balance. I have focused more on the family and not on my career. But now they are 12 years. At least the elder one is 12 years now. So now I'm flipping. Now I'm spending less time with my family, and I'm spending a lot of time on career. I'm running a course called Gravitas Wins course. I run a Gravitas Wins podcast. I run a Gravitas Wins show every Thursday. I have a blog. I have a newsletter called Gravitas Wins. All of those things. These take time. I wasn't doing these things earlier. None, except for my blog, I didn't do anything else earlier. But now it is flipped. Now I'm focusing more on my career and less on my family. Any questions so far? Any questions you have on this?
Hi, Joseph. Rishabh this side.
Yeah.
So Joseph, you talked about intentional imbalance, and you just gave an example that right now you're focusing more on your career. So my question is that, can it have negative consequences also at times? because I'm going to be happy with my decision. But at the same time, others may suffer because of my decision. Others could be in my family, in my office, or something like that.
Absolutely. And see, when I said consequences, it is not just positive consequence, right? All kinds of consequences. Some consequences you will be able to put up with. Some you may not be able to put up with. I'll give you an example. See, I've been lucky that in the 6 years, I did not have any big disease. Neither me nor my wife nor my kids, none of them had it. So I was able to afford it. I was probably in that particular sense, I'm a little privileged. But what if, and I have thought about this quite a lot, what if one of them fell sick and I couldn't manage their health properly because I took a pay cut and, I'm only working 3 days a week. It would have happened. I have thought about it. I've said, that's okay. If that happens, I'm going to manage that. I'm going to see what I can do at that particular point in time. Maybe one of the sessions I will talk about decision making. One thing is you have to take a decision with the set of data that you have now, and you'll have to live with that particular decision. And Rishabh, you have taken this Gravitas Wins course. One of the things that I teach is documenting your decision. So
Yeah,
you
so
revisit
does.
that decision.
I remember.
Yeah, so does. So you revisit that decision at some point, and then you say, okay, the parameters that I considered for the decision, is it applicable now? If it does not, change your decision. So it's the same thing that I'm doing. So I took the decision that until they become 12 years, I'm going to spend time with them, and I'm going to teach them, train them in physical, intellectual, spiritual, and all of those things. Subsequently, once they become 12, I'm going to do this. Thankfully, in this particular period, none of the other factors modified. In fact, every 3 months, every year, I go through that particular process. I go through the decision and say, do I have anything to change now? And thankfully, nothing happened. Now I'm very happy with whatever that I have contributed to their life. And now I'm moving on to the career. Again, probably maybe even now, as a matter of fact, now I'm considering, because of the COVID, their schools they are not very happy. The kids are not happy with the schooling system now. They're not able to study. I'm reconsidering, or I'm considering now, should I focus more on my career, or should I have to give little more time for their life now? In fact, before this particular session, at around 4 o'clock, I was discussing with KK Krishna that maybe I should do homeschooling. So I've been thinking about it. So you take a decision, and then there are going to be consequences, plus and minus, and you deal with it, and you reevaluate your decision at a frequent point, not every day, maybe a quarter. Every quarter you revisit it and say whether that is good or not. Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Joseph.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay. So I talked about my kids have this YouTube channel. I am pushing the YouTube channel URL on the chat. If you have kids, if you have anyone, or if you want to know about what is Roblox has gone for IPO. I think future is going to be about this gaming and so on and so forth. If you are interested, you should subscribe to their channel. They put in all those videos. Some of them I don't understand now. That's why probably now I'm leaving them and I'm going into something that I know and I understand, which is what I'm doing. But otherwise, you should do that. Yes. Okay. So now let's go ahead. So as I said, now I'm flipping that and I am focusing more on my career by having a course, by having a podcast, by going through this weekly sessions and my YouTube, my newsletter and so on and so forth. I'm focusing more on these things. Now, the other example is investment. There is a Harry, I forget his second name. He wrote something called permanent portfolio. And I've tried, it works. Okay, it works. I have tried maintaining it. And what it says is you need to have an equal distribution between stocks, bonds, gold, and cash. And there is a reason behind it. You can go and search for permanent portfolio and you will talk about it. And I have tried this. But whatever I do, I can't keep everything in balance. It cannot be equally distributed to everything, like, symmetrical thing. Stocks 25% at any given point in time. That is absolutely not possible. at least for me. So I go for an intentionally skewed portfolio. My portfolio is largely stocks and bonds, very less of gold and cash. Uh, Again, you need to understand it's a time bound. At some point, they may all equally symmetrical, all the four, but more at any given point in time, it might be completely skewed. So say, for example, last year, some of the stocks were, all the stock market fell down, and some of the stocks, really good dividend making stocks like ITC. I'm not recommending any of these stocks, okay? I'm just saying what I bought. Some of these stocks, like some pharma stocks also, they were all very dead cheap. And I went and bought all of them as much as possible with whatever cash that I had, and it is completely skewed to the stock now. And now I don't have much cash. So completely skewed to the stock. Now they are all kind of like, I mean, even in valuation, they are all much higher. Like say, for example, one of the stock that I have, I think it has gone 3x now. So from a valuation point of view, in just 1 year, it has gone 3x. So valuation perspective, my stock portfolio is way too heavy than anything else, right? So it is intentionally skewed. That's the point I'm saying. I'm not fretting, I'm not sweating and saying, oh, you know what? Now I need to go, oh my God, like, I mean, the stocks are so much, it can crash at any point in time, which it can crash so much. So I need to go and have cash. I need to go and have bonds. I'm not fretting. I'm not sweating there. I'm saying this is okay. This is intentionally skewed and I'm going to be okay with this. That's the point that I'm trying to tell you. It is intentional. The other thing, we talked about this, right? Dieting. I have tried dieting. Oh my God, so many times I have tried dieting. And I would say, okay, you know what? I will not eat this. I will not have sweet. I will not eat whatever. Like, I mean, I have tried my best for any kind of, all the kinds of different kinds of dieting. Never worked. Does not work for me. Somebody will invite me for dinner, some really good friend, and they will have sweets. Guess what? I will end up eating sweets. It is absolutely not possible for me to control at all. I don't know about others. Okay, some of you might have really good self-control. I don't have it in that particular sense. So I found an answer. Again, intentional imbalance, intermittent fasting. I say, okay, I will eat the last meal at 7 o'clock, and after that 12 hours, I will not eat nothing. I will not eat anything at all. This is easier for me to say because I am not just avoiding sweets. I'm not just avoiding some piece of things. I'm saying for 12 hours, I'm not going to eat. Again, it may not be applicable for everybody. You should not go for intermittent fasting without checking up so many different things. This works for me. This is intentional. So then now, when I go to my friend's house and they say during dinner time or evening, and they say, okay, why don't you have? I can say, oh, I'm on fasting, and then oh yeah, okay, you are on fasting. It's okay. Do you want a cup of coffee or something? So then it becomes a lot more easier for me to have a control over my food and diet. So again, this is, you have to understand, it's a time-based restriction. I'm saying during certain period, I'm going to eat well, certain period, I'm not going to eat at all. Intentional imbalance in my food habits. Again, this works for me, it may not work for you. So I've given you 3 examples. One, family and career, right? The second one is portfolio. The third one is from dieting. What I also do, I take it to a little more different extreme and say, I also have day themes. So Sunday is for my spiritual activities. It is not that, as you can see, there are some 3 dots. What it means is that I do few other things also on Sunday. It is not that I only do spiritual things, but primarily it is for spiritual things. Monday, it is for creations, writing, and so on and so forth. Primarily, I do it. Probably 4-5 hours, I'll be sitting and doing that. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are for consulting. Again, it is not that I don't do other things. I might, depending on the requirement, but mostly it is again skewed. Those days are skewed towards, it is highly imbalanced towards that. It's always about consulting. It is, from the time I wake up, it is all the time I'm only thinking of those things. So say, for example, Thursday, it is about Gravitas Win Show. So from the morning, okay, I need to create the slides. I need to create YouTube. I need to schedule the event. I need to invite people. and so on and so forth. All of those kinds of things, right? Sometimes I mess up, like this time, I think I sent it out to everybody saying that it is on the 21st instead of today. But mostly because I have this, it works out really good for me. That particular day is purely for this. And that again works for me. I don't try to balance it out saying, oh, 1 hour I will do this, 1 hour I will do this, another hour I will do it. It does not happen at all, because for me to get into a flow, it at least takes about 2 hours. So say, for example, today, I was creating this slides. I knew exactly what I need to do. I've thought about it while going for a walk and jog and everything. I've thought about it. I knew exactly what I need to create. I come down and on my diary, I plan it out. This is what I'm going to do. Still, it took me about 1.5 hours to 2 hours to get into the flow of creating. For the first 2 hours, probably I created only the title slide and the quote. Nothing else I created. So it takes me that. So I don't say, oh, 2 hours I will do this, 2 hours I'll do this. Because for me to get into a flow, it takes 2 hours. That means I need at least 4-5 hours to create something. So again, it's the same thing. I have day themes. It's again imbalance. That day, I'm only focusing on something, one thing, not anything else. That's the way I operate, and that works for me. Okay. So I'll finish with this particular thing. Alan de Botton is a philosopher, a Swiss philosopher who is living in the UK now. He says this, and I have listened to many of his TED Talks. You should go and listen to him. He's a wonderful speaker with a really good insights. He says, everything worth fighting, it will unbalance your life. Anything that you want to do, it could be your career that you want to build, it could be your family that you want to build, it could be your son's life that you want to build, whatever it could be. You might be young and you want to build your body. Whatever that you want to do that is worth fighting for. It might be that you want to save for your pension, for your retirement, after life after retirement. Anything that you want to do, it will unbalance your life. You need to know that. Once you're known, it is intentionally, then you can go and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, right? So then there's a lot more calm. You're accepting it. And I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to be intentional about this. Then there's a lot more calmness. The stress is gone. And then you can say this to others also. Hey, this is what this quarter, I'm going to do this. As I said, I said, 6 years, I'm going to focus on my boys. So now that the 6 years is over, now I'm thinking about something else. But I said 6 years, this is what it is going to be. Similarly, stock market is down. So this 1 year, I'm going to go and build stocks. So intentional, I'm going to do that. I'm spending all my time thinking about which stock to buy, in what criteria I should apply, and what are the different stocks that I should buy, whether it should be growth or dividend. And I'm thinking about that 1 year. So it's all time bound. Okay, it is not eternal. At this time, I want to tell you a story which I repeat multiple times to my students for Gravitas Wins course, and to my boys also. That it goes like this. There is a donkey which is hungry as well as thirsty. And it has hay on one side, water on the other side. The donkey looks at the hay and says, okay, I'm going to eat. And it goes 2 steps here and then thinks, oh my God, if I go to hay, I will lose this water because somebody will drink it. So it moves 2 steps towards water. And then it thinks, oh my God, if I drink water, then I'm going to lose hay. And it does this, and then it dies of hunger and thirst. Many a times I have been like that. Many a times we are also like that. We can go eat hay and then come back and drink water. So that's the point that I'm saying. For a time period, one time period, I am going to go and do this. It's okay that the world is moving on. Somebody else is chasing something else. I'm okay with it. This is the choice that I'm making, and I'm going to be okay with that particular consequence. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, Pawan, I will. He wants me to share how I share the slides. Again, probably I put in the same kind of philosophy also into this. It's all skewed. If you see, it is very simple. There's only 2 colors, one font, 3 font weights. That's all. Again, it is highly skewed. I work under a constraint, and that's all it is. Okay. Very good. Yes, Sarang. The difficult piece, this is why I said this is a choice that you have to make. What is the choice that you are making? Obviously, you cannot make so many choices. You are going to make different choices in the different stages of your life. I know for one, Maurice, if I can talk about you here, he just graduated out of his college, and even when he was in college, he started building a startup, and now he is skewing his life completely into his startup, which I believe is a good thing. He's doing it. He's not thinking about, oh my God, like no, I'm like this. I need to get a career. I need to look for a girl. I need to build my family. It all can wait. I'm going to focus on this. That's a choice that he's making. Maybe not many other people can make that particular choice, right? When I graduated, I had the luxury of having parents who did not take any educational loan. I had that luxury. I had that privilege. So I didn't have to look for a job immediately. I actually wasted about a year before getting a job. That's an entirely different story. But I had that particular choice. But so many others may not have that particular choice. Others might be saying, okay, you know what, I have to take this particular job, right? So the choices will depend on your life situations, and also what you want to chase for that particular period. When you're young, probably it is different. When you are old, probably it is different, right? So yes, the choice is going to be a different factor, but that choice is what you choose depending on your lifestyle, your background, and the constraints that you have. Okay, good. Now, as a matter of fact, that's all I have. So these are the things, in fact, Sarang, you talked about, well, how do I make those choices? That's what I teach in Gravitas Wins course. If you look at it in life, if you can have these 4 factors, if you can look at it, I think you'll be set. You need to succeed in life, you need wealth, because obviously, for anything that you want to do in life, you need wealth. You need network, because every success is social. See, I can have all of this presentation, fantastic slides, but if none of you are here, this is all going for a waste. So my success is social. It's all because of you guys. You are all here. That's why this is successful. So I need a network to be successful, and that's a disciplined action. Every week I create the slides, I call you up, guys, I ping you, and then say, okay, you need to come in. So that's a network part of it. That's an action. Then the insights, probably all of those things, the insights that I have, it's all not original only with me. I have learned from others, but the insights that you need to have, and then you need to have self-control to implement this every week. Every Thursday, can I do this? That requires a lot of self-control. In fact, the one thing, if you need to see that sets apart the successful people from most others, is self-control. Because you need self-control to even achieve modicum of success. But the point that I also want to emphasize in this, when we are talking about intentional imbalance, is that building up this flywheel takes a long time. You're going to focus on this. And while everybody else is doing something else, you are focusing on building this particular flywheel, and nobody else might be able to see it. But guess what? Again, it's an imbalance. Once it starts moving, it accelerates, and again, there's a virtuous cycle that it comes in. The flywheel starts moving in, and the virtual cycle starts kicking in, and then it makes an imbalance on its own. And the other, again, this is how the others have benefited. Most of these people are here in this particular session. Thanks for everybody on this. So everybody has benefited different things from this particular course. And what you get out of this course is also a supporting community. Every Sunday we meet, and again, everybody, Sarang and Gagan, each of them has selected to focus on one particular stream. Some of them are selected to be on fitness. Some of them are selected to be to become a next CEO, and so on and so forth. They are intentionally making that imbalance. But as a community, we hold each other accountable. We say, okay, did you do this? What's the knot that is in your head? Can we help you uncover it, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that's what you get when you join Gravitas Wins course. If you want to join Gravitas Wins course, you can go to gravitaswins.com, or you can ping me. I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a life of wins. If you have any questions, I'll be very, very happy to answer them now. Any questions? Any comments on this? This works, this wouldn't work for me. Any comments, anything is fine.
Joseph, this is Ashwini here. Just wanted to add a comment, and so this is like the where you say about creating an imperfect balance, right? One of the things, and this is one of those insights that I had very recently, and I know in a day or in a week, there are 3 important things that needs to be done. I have to cook for my family. I have to provide for them. I have my day job, and then I have to concentrate on my health. Yeah, either I have to do an exercise or do something of that. But then I realized that I cannot do all of them. And at one point of time, I create that imbalance. It's okay if I don't do one of those things. So that is a learning that and I think that comes with age. You learn that. So that is something that I actually wanted to share. I used to really be vexed, or sometimes I couldn't do all of those things. But I think as we learn and grow and getting insights from others, and I'm able to achieve that, and like it sort of suits the topic for today. It's an imbalance, but I knew I can't do all 3 of them. So it's the thing.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah, thanks Ashwini for sharing it. And it is very true, right? Like, I mean, every day it's all very critical. Your health you cannot ignore. Food you need to cook. As a mother and a wife, you need to cook the food. But maybe one day you say, okay, I'm going to go for jogging or whatever that kind of an exercise that you are doing. And that day you are ordering from outside. Some other day you are cooking, but then you are not going for jogging or exercise that day, right? So something like that. But every day you are making that particular choice and saying, okay, this day it is going to be imbalance.
Exactly.
And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And as long as you can, like, say, for example, as a day theme, if you can publish it to your family, your friends, and then say, okay, this is how it is going to be. Maybe even in your office, say, for example, you can say, Monday I'm going to focus on review meetings, and Friday I'm going to focus on something else. Like, I'm thinking about the future, something like that. Again, you are intentionally being imbalanced there and saying, okay, today that is what I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. Don't disturb me on this, right? Yes, if there is emergency, I will adjust it. But otherwise, this is what I'm going to do. You are making that intentional imbalance, and then you are being public about this.
Yes.
That's the way we can all grow. And as you say, probably it comes from the age. And I don't know. Ashwini is indirectly indicating how old I am. But yeah, it comes from age.
No, I actually meant myself, not you. Yeah.
No problem. Yes, Vibhor, there is a decision log template that I have. So I say, what's the decision that I want to do? What are the factors that drives that particular decision, and why I took that particular decision? And then I say, I revisit it after every 3 months, every quarter, and then say, do those factors still remain the same, or have anything changed? If those factors have changed, should I have to revisit that particular decision? So all of those things. Yes. So in that particular sense, there is a decision log that I have. Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Amulya ji. I know you are very busy. Thanks for joining in. I really appreciate it. Any other questions? Anyone else has any comments on this?